A phrase from the Family Proclamation reads, "Gender is an essential characteristic of individual premortal, mortal, and eternal identity and purpose." Since those words have been written, the consensus has been that one's gender is such an essential part of an individual that it will remain the way it is forever. Men remaining as men and women remaining as women. As Dallin H. Oaks explained in the General Conference of October 2018,
"Gender is eternal. Before we were born on this earth, we all lived as male and female spirits in the presence of God."
But why must these things be? Many people inside and outside the church hate this doctrine. They would rather the church conform to the rest of the world instead of the other way around. Some believe that the phrase from the Family Proclamation that I mentioned can be interpreted to mean that gender is fluid and eternally changing, as if we are Time Lords from the BBC show Doctor Who, where every time we die, we can regenerate into the opposite sex.
So, but Time Lords, bit flexible on the whole man-woman thing then, yeah?
We're the most civilized civilization in the universe. We're billions of years beyond your petty human obsession with gender and its associated stereotypes.
But the father of modern existentialism was Jean-Paul Sartre. He once looked at a waiter and wondered if he was a waiter or just pretending to be one. One could ask the same thing about gender. Is a woman, or is she just pretending to be a woman? Whenever a person comes out as transgender, as a society we often make it a habit of praising the person for being brave and coming out as his or her true self. Still, I ask, how can we possibly know for sure that that person is for sure coming out as his or her authentic self, or as a fake self? For Sartre, to live inauthentically is to live in bad faith. Aristotle's Metaphysics reads, "Being as such may be in several ways. One is to be accidental, another to be true. Non-being is to be false. To live inauthentically is to be false, non-being. For Sartre, a being is characterized as one who can choose for oneself. One who denies free will say that one was born this way, but that is a lie. That person is living in bad faith and is not a being, but a puppet with memories. To live inauthentically is to live in a way contrary to your nature, as established in the pre-mortal life. And as I explained in my video, The Ever Downward Spiral of Gender Theory, living inauthentically causes tremendous chaos, confusion, and distress. Indeed, when I see a woman, I do not see a performance, but rather a simple way of being. Not so with the transgender person. With them, all I see is performance, often crude overacting, and in some cases, a farce. But to better understand, let us consider the topic of eternal progression from a strictly biological perspective. I can only give a brief summation of what I mean. The most basic living organism, the cell, is sexless, genderless. It only reproduces in cloning itself and splitting off from its parent. If evolution is to be believed, then this is how all life started. Though, indeed, we find that this is how we, too, begin life in our mother's womb. We could call the whole universe one giant womb, as Spencer W. Kimball put it. Man is a god in embryo, and has in him the seeds of godhood, and he can, if he will, rise to great heights. Inherent in all living things is the ability to reproduce and die, rebirth in the offspring, an endless cycle. All things begin simply before they become more complex. As a life form becomes more complicated, it will soon need to develop sex. Why is this? Because life forms which reproduce asexually without sex are only capable of cloning themselves, and clones maintain all of the strengths but also all of the weaknesses of the parent. A single virus could destroy an entire system. It is an unchanging system that cannot progress, existing in a world where change is nature. The propagation of life is all about diversity and originality. The more diverse the parents, the more varied the offspring. By integrating and merging genes, we can evolve and progress into higher stages of life. When one parent possesses a weak gene, it is covered by the other parent's gene. But without diverse enough parentage, such as with incest, the parents' shared weakness is only doubled in the children, and they can be born with terrible deformities. While the homosexual lifestyle can have its benefits, they are often the most loving people in a community, the style lacks eternal progression. The law of adoption can provide them with children, however the children are not biological, and if they are, it is only with one parent and someone else. Children create the kingdom. So what is the homosexual couple to do? Eternally adopt children from other parents, or have children with someone of the opposite sex outside the union eternally? Furthermore, the adoption only creates spiritual immortality, not physical immortality. Those spiritually immortal but not physically immortal, their name is known by others living today, but that person never had any biological children of their own. An example would be Nikola Tesla. Just about everyone knows his name, so his spirit lives on, but his body is dust, having had no children to carry on his blood. And as soon as such a name is spoken for the last time, that individual will cease to exist. So be grateful for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints initiative to collect as many names as possible, to put them through the temple so those names can live on in spirit. If one day we developed a program in which we can take human skin cells and turn them into gametes so homosexual parents can have a shared biological offspring, I am convinced that such a child, without a proper diverse parent of the opposite sex, would be only comparable to an incest child. Therefore, as humans continue to progress, the man and the woman will continue to be more and more diverse from each other. In some cases, in the animal kingdom, with less complicated species than humans, such as with seahorses and clownfish, the differences between males and females are almost non-existent and confusing. But with humans, there is a definitive difference between the sexes, even if some people wish to ignore the biology of it all. Not just physically, but also psychologically. And those born intersex will soon be a thing of the past. Those who wish to live in a genderless, sexless society would only cause the human race to devolve. As humans grow in complexity and diversity, will a third gender associated with a third gamete come into the picture? Will the act of reproduction one day require 3 instead of just 2? I doubt it. But our continuing diversity might one day call back polygamy or polyandry. I am sure the genders will remain as 2. After all, men and women cannot become so diverse that they may as well be 2 different species. As we know, Mother Nature doesn't allow 2 totally different species to breed and reproduce with each other. There must remain some similarities that remain for the 2 to stay compatible. When we couple these earthly things with heavenly things, we begin to see why the law of God is that only a man and woman sealed for time and all eternity can progress, for even Father God is subjected to Mother Nature. The heavens are bound by the earth. We see why the first commandment in the Garden of Eden was to multiply. The angels that do not follow this law stand separate only as sentinels, to minister for those who are worthy of a far more and exceeding and eternal weight of glory. The conclusion of the progression of the man and woman married eternally together will be as such, to become a god and his goddess over countless generations, creating and maintaining universes without end. For herein is the work of my Father continued, that he may be glorified. Suppose you disagree with anything that I have just discussed with you today, do tell me about it in the comments section below. And also, why are you not subscribed to my YouTube channel? Please hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon. Thank you for watching, and remember to keep it righteous.